Okay, sige. Good morning. So let's start. No, we have a what do you call this? Last discussion. So we are on the chapter 2 on the bribery. No, okay. So let's proceed now. Okay. So let's have the bribery. No, as going back to our discussion last time. So we have the bribery is providing money, property, or favors, no, to obtain a business advantage. Okay. So in the IT world, meron ding mga ganyang klase ng tawag dito ng laws, no? And some of the wrongdoings of the some of the government or private employees under the IT. So there are still may mga bribery concerns, no? And sabi nga natin, we have to be very careful because that is a form of corruption. So it is providing money, or let's say you have a property that you need to give him or to give her, or any favors to obtain is on the business advantage. So kahit anong klase pa yan, no? That could be in the form of property or in the form of money, no? In the form of favor, any favor that would related to the business, no? And that could be part of the bribery. In the other country, still they have, no, like in the US, in the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act or the FACPA, no, we have the FCPA. This crime is to be bribe a foreign official, a foreign political party official, or a candidate for foreign political office. So it happens on the different part of the world, but still there is a particular law. The law that gives us a direction for this particular problem in the different personnel that committed bribery, no? And that some of the principle that that we have is to obtain, no, the free sabi natin graft and corruption. Ayaw natin may mga corruptions, no? Ayaw natin na tayo'y ma-involve into corruptions. So that's why the in the academic policy, in the academic procedure, tinuturo na, no, para pagdating nyo sa industry, you have to know what could be the real practices, what could be the right doings in our works, no, the delivery of works without the corruption. So basically, yun yung gusto natin, no? Eh, sinasabi ni Bob, hindi naman yayaman kung hindi ka magko-corrupt. That's wrong. No? That's a very wrong idea. Because you can earn money, a big money, no? Basta mayroon ka lang effort that could be pinaghirapan mo, pinagsikapan mo. And that is a good practice, no? Katulad nga, sabi natin, bakit yung mga vlogger, no? Ang lalaki kumita, pinaghirapan din nila. They put some vlogs, no? They have to shoot the different thoughts and ideas that they need to share, and that could be part of their work. So basically, that's it, no? Eh bakit nga yung isang kwento na magsasaka, for example, mayaman, no? Naging mayaman siya. Although, siguro hindi lahat ng magsasaka ay naging ganon, pero merong mga kwento ng mga different, nagugulat lang sila na ang gara ng sasakyan, no? Isa lamang magsasaka, sabihin natin, but nag-strive siya, no? Ginamit niya lahat ng resources, ginamit niya lahat ng ng kanyang idea to cultivate the land, to progress the agriculture, farming, and so and so. So that's why may mga effort, no? And without the corruptions. So at what point does a gift become a bribe? Kailan ba nagiging bribe ang isang gift? Yun nga, pag ito ay pumapabor, pag may favor. No? Kumbaga, pabor naman to. Ano mo naman ito? Ganyan, no? Diyan nagsisimula. Bibigyan kita, no, ng isang regalo. Ayan. So, yan yung mga regalo na ganyan that could be a form of the bribery, no? Perceptions of donor and recipient can differ. And the United Nations Convention Against Corruption is a global treaty to fight bribery and corruption. Now, ano ba pagkakaiba ng bribe and gifts? No? Sabi sa definition ng book ng C-Engage, no? C-Engage Learning, the one that have, the course technology that we have, no, into a bribe. The bribe described as are made in secret. So, sikretong malupit, no? As they are neither legally nor morally acceptable. So, nagsisikretuhan, no? And hindi tama, no? That are often made indirectly through a third party. Minsan gumagamit pa ng third party para hindi halata, no? And that could be a very wrong way, no? Encourage and an obligation for the recipient to act favorably toward the donor, no? Okay, sabihin, gumagamit siya ng ibang tao. Sabihin mo naman kay ganito, bigyan ako ng ganito, bigyan ako ng property, bigyan ako ng money, bigyan ako ng certain thing. And that could be, ako bahala dyan, ako magsisingit ng iyong business para magkaroon ka ng business style or business good business strategies, no? And magkakaroon ka ng malaking kita, so binabribe mo siya, no? Now, ano ba ang pwedeng kung ito ay gifts? Now, sabi natin are made openly. No, talaga naman ang Pilipino ay likas, hindi lang Pilipino, all over the world, no? In the different culture of the people, meron naman gift, kinikilala naman ng gift. Ito ay taus-pusong pagbibigay without any favor. So sabi dito, are made openly and publicly as a gesture of friendship or goodwill, no? Nakipagkaibigan ako sa isang tao, no, na tumulong sa akin pero walang kapalit, no? Wala siyang sinabi ng ganito. Ito ako yumaman ako, for example, or kaya naalala ko siya, or kaya gusto ko siyang i-appreciate. Ito, magbibigay ako ng gift sa kanya. So without any favor. Wala kaming pinag-usapan ng ganyan, no? Pero ito ay bibigyan ko siya ng isang gift, no? So, it's a gift, no? Kasi wala namang, it's made openly. Walang favor. Walang any concern that could be part of the kapalit ay isang negosyo. Kapalit ay isang let's say isang property or in whatever, no? May kapalit, yun ang hindi maganda, no? Bribe na yun, basta gano'n. Pero kung siya ay sabi natin Pasko, nag-gift tayo, no? It's a gift. Pero no matter, kahit Pasko yan, kung halimbawang basta walang favor, hindi ka nagpe-favor sa kanya, naalala mo siya, kaya nga sabi natin, oh, it's a gift because I remember you, no? So, biniriregaluhan natin, no? Yung mga tao na gusto nating regaluhan during Christmas o kaya birthday niya, for example, naalala mo siya. But walang kapalit, no? Let's say, sasabihin mo, ay, ang bait-bait sa akin ni ganito, no? Nung dati, may mga tawag dito, naalala niya ako lagi, no? Or kaya, dati niya akong natulungan na walang kapalit siya, pero ngayon naalala ko, meron ako, gusto ko siyang bigyan. So, yung gano'n, wala naman kayong pinag-uusapan. That could be a gift. Are made directly from the donor or recipient. It's directly from the donor. So, come with no expectation or favor, a future favor for the donor. Kaya nga sabi ko, walang pinag-uusapan. Naalala mo lang siya because I want to give him or I want to give her a certain gift. No? So relationship between IT workers and the other professionals. Professionals is to feel a degree of loyalty in the members of their profession. Professionals owe each other adherence to their profession code of conduct. Ethical problems among the IT professions, no? And like in the other country, so resume inflation, about 30% of the US job applications, na sinasabi nila, no, inappropriate sharing corporate information. The information might be sold intentionally or shared informally with those who have no need to know. So in IT workers, in other professionals, we have different, sasabi natin ngayon, napakalawak ng IT works, no? Lahat ay napunta na into IT because of sinasabi nating work from home arrangement, no? Or kung hindi yan, sinasabi natin walang mga ano, lahat ay in the internet power, in the internet procedure. So that's why all kinds of business are in the form of a digital way. So that's why there is a great number, no? Mayroong mga great number of applications, no? Hindi lang sa US, in other part of the country. There's an ethical problem among the IT professions, no? Because there are different standards that we are trying to find out. The relationships between IT workers and IT users. IT user person using a hardware or software. Mapa-hardware yan, mapa-software yan, you are belong to the IT workers. At lalo na tayo, ComEng, computer engineering, dalawa ang major natin. We can both, tawag dito, work on the two parts of the job, whether it is a hardware or a software. Whatever it is, maybe kahit it produce a product, it gives services to the people, it gives services to the machines, for example. So that could be an IT work. So it is an IT users. Now, IT worker duties understand user needs and capabilities. We need to understand what could be our capabilities. Hanggang saan ba yung ating kakayanan? What could be the needs of our work? What could be the needs of the clients? What could be the needs of our machines that we need to support? Deliver products and services to meet those needs. Yeah, we deliver the products. Whether the product is in the form of IT, in the form of services, in the form of part of the programs and so and so. No? Okay. Now, establish environment that supports ethical behavior to discourage software piracy, to minimize inappropriate use of corporate computing resources, and to avoid inappropriate sharing information. What would be the relationship between IT workers, the IT workers and the society? The society expects members of the profession to provide significant benefits, to not cause harm through their actions. Actions of an IT worker can affect society. Professional organizations provide code of ethics to guide IT workers' actions. No? Okay, so that could be the relationship between the IT workers and the society. You have a very, part ng yung work for the society. It can affect the society. No? Sometimes, kaya ng ibang IT company, they have corporate social responsibility. They work for the particular part, and they extend their work into different communities and some part of the group. They have to support them, and basically that could be some of the actions of the IT workers. What are the professional code of ethics? State the principle and core, the value essential to work of occupational group. Most codes of ethics includes what the organization aspired to become, rules and principles by which members of the organization are expected to abide, and many codes of include commitment to continuing education for those practice the profession. So the following professions or professional code of ethics can produce benefits for the individual of the profession of the society as a whole. So one is the ethical decision making. Second, high standards and practice and ethical behavior, trust and respect from the general public, and evaluation of a benchmark of the self-assessment. So these are the different norms and parameters that we have in order to have a good or produce benefits for the individual profession. So we have ethical decision making that we need to decide, using that our ethical standards, high standards in the practice and the ethical behavior. So what are the professional organizations? No universal code of ethics for the IT professional. No single formal organization of IT professional has emerged as preeminent. Five of the most prominent organizations include Association of Machinery, Computing Machinery, Institute of Electrical, Electronics Computer Society, the IEEE, in the computer systems or sciences, Association of the IT Professionals, System Admin Audit Network Security SANS, Institute. Okay, in our professional organizations like the ICPE, yan tayo yan. In the Philippine local government IT, the Go IT, the IT uh, movement, and there are different IT organizations that we need to join as our professional organizations. That could be part of our development. That could be to have a certain career development, what they call this, part of this particular joining in the different organizations. Certification indicates a professional processes a particular set of skills, knowledge, or abilities in the opinion of certifying organization. Can apply also to products, generally voluntary, kaya yung iba, like for the Cisco, hindi yan talaga nire-required, pero since let's say nasa office kayo, sabi ng inyong admin, kailangan member kayo ng Cisco. Dapat may Cisco certification. You have to join it. It's voluntary. Or sabihin ng company, they are the one to provide the certain expenses kasi medyo may kamahalan yun. And that could be part of their professional growth, for example. So, the employers view as a benchmark of knowledge. That's kanila nagmumula. Sila nag-initiate, sila nagkakaroon ng mga different initiatives para ma-encourage ka mag-join. And that could be the power of the employers, basically. Kaya, kung maganda yung company mo, for example, in the industry, they have a certain program for the certifications of the CPE students, CPE graduates rather. Yung CPE graduates ay natutuloy yon, nagkakaroon ng magandang pananaw pagdating sa pagkakaroon ng mga certifications. Opinions are divided into value of certification. So different certification, meron tayong CompTIA, meron tayong ICPE, isa group, CompTIA, Cisco, marami, and marami pang iba na talagang kilalang-kilala natin for the network admin certification, the what do you call this, yung sinasabi natin sa part ng Huawei, yung ganyan, may mga certification na rin sila, there are different certification that could be part of their tawag dito, business or the products or the vendor certification. Sinasabi dito, some certifications substantially improve IT workers' salaries and career prospects. So majority in the industry ganyan. Relevant for narrowly defined roles of certain aspects of broader roles, require passing a written exam, in some cases a hands-on lab to demonstrate skills and knowledge. So can take years to obtain necessary experiences, and training can be expensive. So the industry association certifications require higher level of experience and a broader perspective than vendor certification. Must sit for the past written exams, may need to pay annual renewal fee, kaya may mga bayad yun, naturally. Yung mga different association certifications, earn continuing education credits, pass renewal tests, lang in developing tests that cover new technologies, are moving from purely technical content or a broader mix of technical, business, and behavioral competences. The licensing in the government issued permission to engage activity to operate the business. So, in other country, meron din sila niyan, no? Start level. Tinatawag na nila, there are level 1, level 2 certification. Other requires the recipient pass a test. Some professions must be licensed, like the doctor, lawyers, CPAs, medical and daycare providers, engineers, no? Yan yung mga binibigyan ng professional license certification. One goal, protect public safety. Case of licensing IT workers encourage following highest standard of profession, encourages practicing code of ethics. Violators should be punished. And without licensing, there are no requirements for heightened care and no concept of professional malpractice. Wala naman tayong malpractice kasi we don't have any uh, tawag dito, direct to the human, no? Hindi, unlike sa sa medical, sa doctors, may mga malpractice law dyan. Kasi gina-practice nila yung profession nila, nagkakaroon ng effect to the human, no? To different people na pwedeng magkaroon ng malpractice law. And there is a few licensing programs like IT professionals. Sabi natin, no universally accepted core body of knowledge. Unclear, we should manage content and administration licensing exams. No administrative body to accredit professional education programs. No administrative body to assess the ensure competence and the individual workers. What are the IT professional malpractice? Sabi nga niya, negligence, not doing something that is a reasonable person would do or doing something that a reasonable person would not do. No? Duty of care, yun ang mga natin, duty of care, obligation lang yon to protect the people against unreasonable harm or risks. So, reasonable person standard and reasonable profession standard. Professional malpractice is a professional who breach the duty of care are liable for injuries. No? Nagkaroon ng injuries that their negligence causes. Ayan. Kaya wala tayong malpractice. No? Ang meron lang normally yung mga doctors, dentists, no? Yung mga direct to the people that there is an injury na ginawa. No? Napatay niya. For example, nag-opera siya, bigla niya napatay. No? Yun yung mga certain injury that could be part, no? And that could be a malpractice law. Employers, ethical, are IT and growing is concerned because of the increased access to personal computers, corporate information system, and data internet. Common ethical issues for IT users are the software piracy, inappropriate use of computing resources, erodes productivity and waste time, to lead to lawsuits. No? Inappropriate sharing for information, including every organization, store vast amounts of private confidential data. The private data are the employees and the customers, and the confidential information are the company and the operations. No? Okay. So we have the supporting ethical practices of IT users. Policies that protect against abuses, that set forth general rights and responsibilities of users, create boundaries and acceptable behavior, enable management to punish violators. And the policy components include establishing guidelines of the use of the company's software, defining appropriate of the IT resources, and restructuring information systems to protect data and information, installing and maintaining a corporate firewall. Now, we have the manager's checklist in establishing IT usage policy. Sabi nito, there are some questions that the managers can formulate. No? Is there a statement and explains need an IT usage policy? Does the policy provides a clear set of guiding principles for ethical decision making? It's clear how the policy applies to the following types of workers: employees, part-time workers, temporaries, and the contractors. So they have show some policy that could apply for the different, it could be very clear what could be the guiding principles in terms of those employees. Does the policy address the following issues? Protection, data privacy rights, employees, customers, suppliers, and others. Control access proprietary company data and information. Use an unauthorized and pirated software. Employees monitoring including email, wiretapping, and eavesdropping and phone conversations, computer monitoring, and surveillance by video. Respect the intellectual rights orders, including trade secrets, copyrights, patents, and trademarks. Inappropriate use of IT resources, such as web surfing, personal emailing, and other use of computer for purposes other than business. The need to protect the security of IT resources through the adherence of the good security practices, such as not sharing, I repeat, not sharing your user's ID and the passwords, using hard to guess, no? Password and frequently changing passwords. Okay? So, yun yung mga protect security of IT resources or IT strategies that we have, no? The use of computer to intimidate, harass, or insult others through abusive language in emails and by other means. Now, those are the different parts of the policy addressed by the following issues of your managers. Are disciplinary actions defined for IT-related abuses? Is there process for communicating the policy to employees? Is there a plan to provide effective ongoing training relative to the policy as a corporate firewall have been implemented? Or is the corporate firewall maintained? So those are the different questions that might be part of the manager's checklist establishing IT usage policy. Okay, let's go to the compliance. Now, the compliance to be accordance with established policies, guidelines, and specifications and legislations. In the Sarbanes-Oxley, we have established requirements for internal controls. No? HIPAA is ensure security and privacy of employee healthcare data. Failure to be conformance can lead to criminal and civil penalties and also lawsuits. Major challenge to comply with multiple government industry regulations that are sometimes in conflict. To meet this challenge, implement software to track record compliance action, hire management consultants for advice and training, create chief compliance officer position. Audit committee is subset of the board of directors with oversight for the following activities: the quality and integrity and accounting, reporting practices and controls. Compliance with the legal regulatory requirements, qualification, independence, and performance in the organization independent auditor, and performance of the company internal audit team. Internal audit committee's responsibilities: determine the internal systems and control and indicate are effective and effective, verify existence of the company assets and maintain proper safeguards over their protection, measure the organization compliance with own policies and procedures, ensure that institutional policies and procedures, appropriate laws, and good practices are followed. Evaluate adequate and reliability information available for the management decision making. And those are the summary that we need to formulate in this chapter 2. So professionals are required advanced training experience, must exercise discretion and judgment in their work. Their work cannot be standardized. Legal standpoint are past state licensing or government licensing requirement, or earned right to practice on the government. IT professional have many different relationships. So each ethical issues, potential problems, professional code of ethics, state principle, and essential work of the occupational group. Serves as a guideline and ethical decision and promotes high standards of practice and behavior. Provides evaluation of benchmark, licensing and certification of the IT professionals, would increase reliability and effective of information system, raises many issues. IT-related professions organizations have developed their code of ethics that outlines the organization aspire to become. Lists rules and principles of members include commitment to continuing education, those who practice the profession. Kaya kailangan continuous pa rin yung ating education, no? Yung continuing education natin. Para sa gano'n, maganda magiging takbo ng iyong professional growth, yung mga different advancement, yung mga different certifications that you need, makaka-survive tayo. Audit committee, that internal audit team, have a major role in ensuring that both of IT organizations and IT users are in compliance with guidelines and the various legal and regulatory practices. And you have to answer the activity, no, on your G drive, no. Follow what could be the activity 1, Roman 1, and the Roman 2. So kindly put that in your flash drive. Okay, do you have any question in chapter 2? Let's go to the chapter 3. Okay, let's go to the chapter 3, computer and internet crime. So what are the different objectives that we need to do or to get, no? So what K3 of the ethical issues are associated with the safeguarding and data information systems? Why has there been a dramatic increase in the number of computer-related security incidents, no, in recent years? What are the most common types of computer security attacks? Who are the primary perpetrators of computer crime? And what are their objectives? What are the key elements of multi-layer process for managing security vulnerabilities based on the concept and reasonable assurance? What actions must be taken in response to security incident? And what is computer forensics? No? What roles does it play in responding to the computer incident? So let's have the IT security incident. So it's a major concern wherein the security of information and technology is the utmost important concern, no? Wherein there are two things: safeguard confidential business data, private customer and employee data. So sabi natin, yun yung sinisafeguard natin. Pagdating sa industry, may mga different information in technology importance tayo, no? We need to secure the different informations, no, in our business data or confidential business data in regards to the operation of the business, no, as well as yun yung pumapasok na sa confidentiality, wherein the private, that could be the customers and the employees data. Protect against malicious and acts, theft or disruption. So kinakailangan our IT security has a certain protection, no, para get away tayo sa mga malicious acts and some theft and disruption moves, no? The balance against the other business needs and issues, and the number of IT-related security incidents increasing around the world. Why computer incidents are so prevalent? No? Increasing complexity increases vulnerability. Kaya pag mas complex, mas vulnerable ito, no? Mas maraming possible na pwedeng mangyari. So nagkakaroon ng increasing complexity doon. What could be the computing environment is enormously complex. 1, continues to increase in complexity. Number 2, number of entry points expand continuously. Number 3, cloud computing and the virtualization software. So those are the computing environment that we need to apply on, which is normally there is an enormously complexity on this particular part. Higher computer user expectations, the computer help desk under intense pressure, no? Kaya yung mga let's say help desk, computer help desk, no? May mga na-assign na tayo niyan in the different government offices, government establishment, private offices, private firms, may mga help desk officer. Help desk information that you have to provide or to have a certain operation that could be. So, kung saan ka pwedeng magpunta dun sa different help desk na yun. Kung sino yung pupuntahan mo at saan ka magkakaroon ng mga different transactions. Okay. Now, we have also a forget to verify user's ID or check authorizations. No? They have to implement the user's ID, the check authorizations, para sa ganun, mas madali magiging flow. No? Computer users share login and ID passwords. No? Yan ang pag computer users share login and ID password, na nagkakaroon ng mga problem dyan. No? Expanding changing system equal new risk, like the network era. The personal computers connect networks with millions and other computers. No? All capable of sharing information. Lahat capable doon. Kaya napaka-dangerous pagdating sa expanding and changing systems of the new race. No? Information technology is ubiquitous and necessary tool for organization to achieve goals and increasingly difficult to match pace of technological change. No? Increase reliance in commercial software with known vulnerabilities, like, for example, to exploit, attack the information system, attack the information system, takes advantage of the system vulnerability. No? Wait lang. Okay, sige. So, due to the poor system to design or implementation, that's why there is an exploit of those particular system that we have, like for example, due to poor system. So, we need to patch the fix to eliminate the problem. Users are responsible for obtaining, installing, and delay exposure user to security breaches. Zero-day attack before vulnerability is discovered or fixed. And in the other country like US, the company relies on the commercial software with known vulnerabilities. What are the types of exploits? Computer as well as smartphones can be target. Like, for example, the types of the attacks, like virus, worm, Trojan horse, disrupted denial of service, rootkit, spam, and the phishing. Wherein the phishing is the smurf phishing, smishing, and vishing. What are the viruses? So, alam na natin yan, yung mga viruses. The pieces of programming code that usually disguise in something else that causes unexpected and undesirable behavior that the computer is often attached to files. Deliver a payload that could be spread by actions of the infected computer users, infected email, document attachment, downloads of infected programs, and visits to infected websites. So, ang kita natin, normally, pag viruses, may mga tawag dito, intentionally attacks, that could be in the normal way, or without knowing it, bigla kang magkakaroon because you are tawag dito, access that particular website or information or messages. That's why yun yung kanilang form to infect, yung mga ganung strategies. So depende yan sa kanilang mga different program factors related para ma-infect, no? And that could be the thing. Okay. The worms, kaya nga, pati pag-visit sa mga infected website, no? Yan. Hindi tayo. Eh ngayon, pati yung sa may mga scam because of the, if you visit the website, if you are proceed to the wrong website, you are already, tawag dito, get the different informations of the person, no? So that's why, may mga ganong attacks and strategies ang mga different bad elements na ito. Harmful programs that resides in active memory computer that duplicates themselves can propagate without human intervention. Yan, yung mga strong viruses na nakikita natin sa PC. Negative impact of worm attack, lost data programs, ang mga impact niya, lost productivity, hindi nagiging productive kasi ganun din sa file and sa tao, additional effort for IT workers, no? Sometimes you call an expert for that. And the Trojan horses, malicious code hidden inside seemingly harmless programs, users are tricked into installing them, delivered via email, attachment downloaded from a website, or contracted via removable media services. The logic bomb executes when triggered by a certain event. What is a distributed denial of service or the DDoS attacks? Ano ba yan? So malicious hacker takes over the computer on the internet and causes them to flood a target site with the demands for data and other small tasks. The computer that are taken over the cold zombies, no? Botnet is a very large group of such computers. Does not involve a break-in a target computer. Target machine is busy responding, no, to extreme automated requests, and legitimate users cannot access a target machine. A set of programs that enable user to gain administrator level access to a computer without end user's consent knowledge. Attacker can gain full control of the system, even obscure the presence of the rootkit. Fundamental problem is detecting rootkit is that the operating system currently running cannot be trusted to provide valid test results. What is the spam? Iba dito, natin, spam. The abuse of email system to send unsolicited email to a large number of people. Low-cost commercial advertising for questionable products. No? Yun, spam yun. Kung yun sabihin, may produkto, wala namang produkto, no? Bigla mong kinilig. You are commercially, tawag dito, nagkaroon ka na ng mga different data na pwede nilang mag-gather, no? Method of marketing used by many legitimate organizations. Controlling assault non-solicited pornography, marketing spam is the legal spam to basic requirements are met. Completely automated public Turing tests to tell computers and humans apart or the CAPTCHA. Software generate tests and humans can pass through computer programs cannot. And the phishing are the act of the email fraudulently to try to get recipient to reveal personal data. Legitimate looking emails lead users to counterfeit websites. Spear phishing is the fraudulent emails to an organization employees. No? Okay, smishing, that could be phishing via text message. Marami kasi iba-ibang strategies, iba-ibang factor, no? By phishing yon via text messages, ang tawag doon ay smishing. Phishing naman, when phishing via voice mail messages. So, may voicemail, may via text, no? Meron naman tayong tinatawag na phishing via certain different data or website that there are, information or let's say, tinatawag din natin mga sinend sa ating mga emails, for example, and those are the things. Ito yung example ng parang tawag dito phishing, no? And that could be part of this transaction. We regret to inform that the email account could be suspended. You don't update your account information. To resolve the problem, please visit link below. Ayan, ang mga phishing style. No? Ako, on my experience, marami nagpapadala sa akin na siya daw ay sa bangko, no? Hindi niya naman ako maiisahan. So, sinasabi na, please confirm, no? Minsan, they put some logos, kung ano pa yung mga logo-logo nila, talagang pinaggaan nila. Pero makikita mo yung link iba, no? Pag yung link hindi directly link, yung link na ginagamit from that bank, asahan mo that could be a phishing, no? Titingnan mo lagi yung link. Titingnan mo lagi kung legit yung link. Pag nakita mong private yung link na ginagawa niya, that could not a legal or that could be an illegal act. No? Pwede mo siyang akong ginagawa ko, what I did, I went to the bank, no, na piniprint ko, then binibigay ko sa bangko. So si bangko ang bahalang mag-investigate at hinahanap nila yan kung sino yung mga taong concern na yan to put a demand and have and issues, no, complaint and demand for those people doing that particular activities. No, ayan yung mga ganyan, no. So sa akin, ang daming experience, like for example, yung land bank magsasabi sa akin na, oh, you are a good customer, you have, but you have to link this site and you have to, we have a, what do you call this, loyalty cash gift, no? Para may mga ganun-ganun pa. Ikaw naman si Bobo, bigla kang magkiklik nun, no? Wag kayong magkiklik nung gano'n. Minsan, sa cellphone, nakikita nyo, mayroong mga sinasabi doon na anniversary ng Jollibee, magpapamigay ng 500 gift certificate. Makikita mo, pag tinitingnan mo yung link, pag yung link galing hindi sa Jollibee corporation, sa isang personal link na tinatawag natin, do not click. Pag kinilik mo, pinag-aaralan na nila yung informations mo. That could be a very dangerous thing. Okay? So mag-iingat kayo. Ngayon, ang taong ngayon, kaya kayo nasa IT, kaya natin pinag-aaralan to, alam nyo kung ano yung mga ano. At hindi kayo magiging instrument ng kawalangyaan na yon. Okay? Yung mga ganung problema, hindi kayo ang magiging instrument. You are the, minsan nagiging victim pa kayo, no? Pero kung kayo ay gagamitin para gumawa ng mga ganung trabaho, definitely you are part of the wrongdoings. Okay? Hindi kayo, you are punishable by law. Okay? Hindi po pwede na kayo ay ma-involve sa mga ganun, lalo na kayo ay mga IT workers, no? Kung kayo ay maranasan magtrabaho and you have a job like that, to have an illegal activities, no? Hindi nyo nalaman sa pag-a-apply ninyo, tapos nalaman nyo sa operation, you can resign, no? To that particular. Okay, may mag-resign. Kung alam nyo may illegal activities ang isang kumpanya, you have to submit a written resignation. Para sa ganon, hindi kayo ma-involve sa wrong operations, bad operations, no? May mga estudyante kaming ganyan before, nagagamit through different, may mga nabalitaan kami na ganito, na na-involve sa ganyan, no? And besides, kaya nga, pipili kayo ng mga job. Although, ang computer engineers and mga IT ay napakadaling mag-apply ng trabaho sa ngayon, no? Kami sa Santa Mesa, zero ang aming ang graduate namin na walang trabaho. Sa totoo lang, pinagmamalaki namin ng aming computer engineering department kasi lahat ng team, kasi bakit namin nalalaman, may tracking kami ng tinatrack namin. Minsan tinetext ko pa nga sila, sasabihin ko, one company giving me an advice na they need employees for this particular company, kindly response if you are interested, I will send your name to those companies. So, bibigay ko. Sasabihin, sir, naku, pasensya na po. Bibigay ko dun sa leader nila, dun sa isang class officer nila, sa class president nila. Sabihin, naku, sir, may trabaho na po lahat ng karamihan po ng namin, may trabaho na. Si ganito, yung mga naalala ko, halimbawa, si ganito, baka wala pang trabaho. Sige po, check ko po. Sine-check naman yung isang estudyante namin na graduate na rin, meron na rin daw. So, nako, talagang minsan, talagang makikita mo, they are, have a job, no? And good job that they have, or para dun sa ganun. Types of perpetrators. Perpetrators include thrill seekers wanting a challenge, common criminals looking for financial gain. Again, common criminals looking for financial gain. Kaya lahat ng possibilities ay gagawin nila para ma-get nila yung mga different informations. And once na get na nila yung mga informations, they will put into a certain problem, a chaotic problem that could be a part of the illegal activities. No? Industrial spies trying to gain advantage, terrorists seeking to cause destruction, different objectives and access to varying resources, and willing to take different levels of risk, accomplish an objective. So what are the different classifications of perpetrators? No? Classifying of computer crime. Hacker. Once the hacker, ano bang ginagawa ang motive ng hacker? The hacker is test limits of system and gain publicity. Okay, yung mga hacker, nahahack nila, no? Nahahack nila yung system, nahack yung kanilang mga different informations, nahack yung mga different transactions because they have a limits on the system. Cracker that cause problems, steal data, and corrupt system. Nagnanakaw ng mga data ito. No? Nagka-crack sila ng it will cause a problem in the system. No? It will corrupt the whole system to destroy, and they have the one to facilitate on that. So it is also a perpetrator. There is a crime for that. There is a law for that. No? Malicious insider, gain financially and disrupt information operations. No? Industrial spy, capture trade secrets and gain competitive advantage. Cyber criminal, gain financially. Activists promote political ideology. So kahit political, no? May ginagamit kayo, for example, into activism using this particular perpetrator's actions. No? Cyber terrorists, no? It could be destroy infrastructure components of financial institution, utilities, and emergency response units. So, yun yung mga nakakatakot, no? Pagka na-involved sa mga ganyang kalalaking operations, no, basically, nagkakaroon ka ng demand or complaints, and it could be into a legal action. No? Hackers and crackers. Hackers are test limitation, system out, intellectual curiosity. Some are smart and talented. Talagang magagaling tong mga to. Others are inept, no? Term lamers or script kiddies. And those are the, inept sila. Lahat kaya nilang gawin, no? And that could be some of the lamers actions, no? Crackers are the cracking of the form of hacking, no? Clearly, it's a criminal activity. Okay. So, pag sinabi natin, ano magkakaiba ng, kanina, sabi natin yung ating mga is ubiquitous, yung ating ano yung sabihin ng ubiquitous, no? Nasa lahat ng dako lang yan dyan. Andyan lang yan sa tabi-tabi, no? Makikita at magkakaroon ng mga different actions pagdating sa mga ganyan. Okay. And wait, teka lang. Okay. Right. So, there's a criminal activity on that. Malicious insider are the major security concern of companies. No? Fraud with the organization is usually due to weaknesses in internal control procedures. No? It could be there is a collusion, cooperation between the employee and the outsider. Sa yan, nakikipag-collusion ka from the other, no? That's why may mga cooperation between the employee and the outsider, no? Huwag kayong magaganyan. So, insiders are not necessarily employees, can also be consultants and contractors, no? And extremely difficult to detect or stop. Unauthorized are the access of very system they abuse and negligent insiders to have potential cost damage. What are the industrial spies? Use illegal means to obtain trade secrets from competitors. Trade secrets are protected by Economic Espionage Act of 1996. There is a competitive intelligence, uses legal techniques, gather information available to the public, and they are trying to put industrial espionage, uses illegal means, illegal actions, obtains informations not available to the public. Cyber criminals, yan, naririnig na rin natin. What is the cyber criminals all about? Hack into a corporate computers to steal. No? Yan yung mga bagong ano ngayon eh, mga acts ng sa IT, yung mga cyber criminals no, nag-hack. They are a hacker also. But it could there is a certain hack in the corporation to in the form of computers and to steal, engage all information or all forms of computer fraud. Chargebacks are disputed transaction. Loss of customers' trust has more impact than fraud. To reduce potential online credit card fraud. Yan, sa credit card, ang daming fraud. Uses encryption technology. Ni-encrypt, no? Ngayon, minsan, pag swipe mo yan, encrypted na pala siya. No? Natatranscribe ka agad kasi hindi mga, kaya nga ngayon, di ba, pag normally, huwag kayong magpapaswipe ng, no, pag nagtatrabaho na yung credit card, ibibigay mo sa isang taong concern, yung credit card na yon. Pag gagawin niya, yung credit card na yun, pipicturean niya, pwede niya magamit yung CVV number mo. No, yung verification value at the back. No, it's very dangerous. Kaya ngayon, ang pag-i-insert ng card, kailangan kaharap ka, and you are the one to insert the card in the machine. Hindi na sila po pwedeng ngayon na sila pa yung kumuha ng credit card at isasaksak ng ganun sa kanilang machine. Matalino na ang tao ngayon, no? Kaya kailangan, you have to be very careful on that. Yan, nangyayari yan sa mga gas stations, no? Pagdating mo ng ano, ang dami ng utang dun sa credit card mo kasi nakuha na nila yung mga different informations. Kaya, don't let your credit card to one person and to access those a particular part, no? And verify the address submitted online against the issuing bank. Kaya ngayon may one-time passcode na. Sinasabi na rin kung anong transaction ng meron ka. Halimbawa, sasabihin niya, you expense at the Mercury Drug for 1,800 medicines, no? If this is true, and if you call, it means this is an illegal activity. No? Kung true yan, hindi mo napapansinin. Go na yun. No? So, request card verification value and use transaction risk scoring software. No? Okay. May kwento ako na isang friend ko, no? He is very eager to apply in the other country. No? Kaya hindi niya alam, no, other country in Canada, sabihin na natin in Canada, no? Sa Canada, nag-apply siya. Maraming panahon na siya nag-a-apply. Pero ito na ang pagkakataon, nagkaroon ng pagtugon sa kanyang pangailangan, doon sa kanyang pag-a-apply. So, akala niya totoo. So, tumawag daw sa kanyang gabi, no? And siyempre, pag gabi, anong una niyang maiisip? Umaga doon, no? Gabi dito. Okay. So, pasado sa kanya kaagad sa isang banda. At nagpakilala na sila ay direct to the immigration, something. Okay. Second check sa kanya yun. Pangatlo, Islam, no? Yung pagde-deliver ng kanyang communication and conversation, it's not a Philippine accent, it's a Canadian accent, no? So Canadian, kahit ba Canadian pa yan, kahit American pa yan, kahit taga-UK pa yan, no? Talagang mayroong mga taong gumagawa niyan, no? And then, Na-notice niya. And pang-apat, babae. No, yung ano, so parang yung babae, napaka-minimal natin sabihin, husgahan natin na makakagawa ng mga ganong activity. But, nakakagawa talaga sila. No, kung anong nagagawa ng lalaki, nagagawa rin nila yon, no? Same thing. Ibig sabihin in doing the bad doings, no? Okay. So, ginawa niya, sabi sa kanya, uh, you need to apply as soon as possible para ma-process. In 2 months, aalis ka na at kailangan gawin mo lahat ito. Otherwise, kinakailangan na ano, sige, call kita ulit. For some verification purposes, I will call you again. No? Maybe tomorrow or some other day. So, sabi niya, sige, tumawag na daw. Okay. So, meron na siyang mga informations. No? Tama naman yung mga informations. Siyempre, nagulat din siya. Eh, hindi niya alam, nahahack na siya. No? Nagkaroon na ng mga phishing, no, into that particular part. Now, sabi sa kanya, but you need to process your application. We have a certain amount. How much? Sabi nung kaibigan ko, cost 65,000 pesos in processing. Okay. But we are facilitating through your credit card. Okay, credit card. So, dali-dali, kumuha siya ng credit card niya. Para nga daw hindi niya alam kung nabudol-budol siya using the phone eh. Kasi ang ganda daw ng conversation nila. Okay. Kinuha niya ang credit card niya, binigay niya ang number niya, ang account number niya sa harapan. Kasi hindi naman mapaprocess kung hindi mo bibigay yung account number. At pagkatapos ng kanilang conversation, sinabi sa kanya na, at the back of your credit card, there is a CVV there. Kindly dictate your CVV. Okay. Binigay niya ang kanyang CVV. So, parang sabi nga, na budol-budol siya o nadala siya sa excitement ng kanyang ano, kasi biro mo, buong family niya makakapunta, no? At siyempre, siguro maligaya siya dahil ang tagal niya nang ina-aspire na makapunta dun sa country na yun. And then, pagkatapos nun, naibigay niya. So, saka siya nahimasmasan. Naku, tinawagan niya ang mga kaibigan niya na naibigay niya. Sabi ko, alam mo, ang mga legit, hindi kumukuha ng CVV yan. No? Pag ikaw ay hinihinga ng CVV, ng credit card, that is illegal. So, dali-dali niyan. So, nakinig siya sa mga advices. Dali-dali niyan tinawagan yung bangko niya. At sinabi ng bangko niya, there are 3 already attempts. Hindi sila makapasok kasi kulang ka ng amount. Imagine, buti na lang, nakagas na siya ng ano doon, hindi na umaabot ng gano'n kasi parang 100,000 yung limit ng kanyang credit card. No? So, 65,000 yung ikakarga. So, dapat, more than ano na daw yung nagastos niya kasi in 1 month no? So, hindi makapasok. So, 3 times na raw. Sir, sabi daw sa kanya ng bangko, naibigay mo po ba ang CVV mo? Yes, Ay, naku, sir. You have to make it putol-putol na yan. No? Disconnect na natin yan. So, dinisconnect ng bangko yung kanyang credit card. So, that's why hindi nakapag-perform ng kanyang duty, ng kanyang nakapag-perform ng kanyang objective, yung ano na yon, yung perpetrator na yon, no, yung gumagawa ng act na yon. So that's why hindi nagtagumpay. The bottom line there, don't give your CVV, no? Don't give your one-time passcode. Okay. So kayo rin, magiging susunod na mga panahon, kayo ay magtatrabaho. Do not give your credit card CVV number at the back. Do not give your one-time passcode. Maliban na lang kung kayo ay magiging instrument ng kawalangyaan. No? So dapat hindi kayo pupunta sa mga ganong pagiging instrumento ng kawalangyaan. So activities and cyber terrorists activism, hacking to achieve political social goal. Cyber terrorists, no? That could be attacks, computers, networks, and attempt and intimidate, coerce in the government order to advance certain political and social activities. Alam na natin yung activism, no? Nangyayari sa PUP, ang daming aktivista. So, pati internet, no? Pati tawag dito, mga gadgets, mga system, pinapasok na yan, no? Para lang magkaroon ng political and social goal. Cyber terrorists, ganun din, attacks computer to the networks, attempt to disrupt the operation, no? To coerce government in order to advance political and social, seek the harm rather than gather information. Uses technique to destroy the disrupt services, no? Now, ito yung mga in the federal laws in the US, may mga crimes, no, in the computer crime. Ayan, yung fraud, computer fraud, abuse, what are the subject area, define cyber terrorism penalties, make identity theft, federal crime penalties, false claims, no, fraud and related activities. Those are the normal ng US pagdating sa kanilang computer attacks, no? And that could be a good example, no, para sa atin. Alam din natin, sa fraud, accessing computer without authorization exceeding authorized access, transmitting a program code of command that causes harm to computer, trafficking of computer password, pati password nata-trafficking na, threatening to cause damage or protected computer. So there is unlawful access to stored communications, obtain, alter, and prevent authorized access the wire electronic communication while in electronic storage. Implementing trustworthy computing. In the trustworthy computing, the delivers secure, private, and reliable computing based on the sound business practices. Alam nyo, ang Microsoft ay meron silang pillars of trustworthy computing. They found a certain formula, no, in and have a certain trustworthy computing. Those are the security, privacy, reliability, and the business integrity. Security is the system or any system or network combination of technology, policy, and people. Requires a wide range of activities to be effective, and the system must be monitored to detect possible intrusions. No? And there is also clear reaction plan addresses. Notification, evidence protection, activity log maintenance, containment, eradication, and recovery. Risk assessment. The process of assessing security-related risk to an organization is computing network from both internal and external threats. Identifies investment that best protect from the most likely and serious threats. No? Focuses security efforts in areas of highest payoff, and each step risk assessment process. We have number one, identity assets, no, identity loss events that could occur, access likelihood in each potential threat, determine the impact of each threat, determine how the threat could be mitigated, access feasibility and mitigations options, perform cost and benefit analysis, and decide the countermeasure to implement. We have the risk assessment of hypothetical companies, no? Using or risk of the distributed of denial of service, the DDoS, in the business objective that would be 24/7 operation in the retail website, and there is a probability of 40% event occurring, no? Estimated of cost successful attack is more about, ito yung mga report na basically hypothetical, in the hypothetical companies, $500,000 na nawala. Probability cost of successful expected cost, $200,000. Assessment of the current level of protection, poor, and relative priority to be fixed is 1. So may mga data silang ganito, like in the C-Engage Learning book, there is a certain examples wherein what could be the risk of the email attachment with harmful worm, harmful viruses, and the invoice and payment fraud. Ayan, may mga certain data sila that could gives us a good idea wherein the business objective threatened and what could be the estimated probability such an event occurring, estimated cost of successful attacks, and probability of the expected cost. as well as assessment of level of protection and relative priority to be fixed. Establishing the security policy. The security policy defines organization security requirements, control sanctions needed to meet the requirements, delineates responsibilities and expected behavior, outline what needs to be done, not how to do it, and that automated system policies should mirror written policies. Trade-off between the ease of use, increasing security. The areas of concern are the email attachment, wireless devices, VPN, and the internet relay communications, but maintain privacy through security features. Additional security includes encrypting and originating and receiving network addresses. Educating employees, no, contractors and part-time workers. We need to educate those people, no, how educate and motivate users to understand and follow the policy. Kailangan mo silang i-educate. Otherwise, malaman nila kung anong mga different policy nito. Discuss recent security incidents. Help protect information system by guiding passwords, not allowing sharing of passwords, applying the strict access controls to protect data, reporting all unusual activity, protecting portable computing and data storage devices, and you need to prevent, no? Implement and make layered security solution, making computer break-in harder, installing a corporate firewall, limits network access, no? Intrusion prevention system, block viruses, malformed packets and other threats, installing antivirus software, scan for frequency bites of virus signature, no, and many more, and other strong state computer emergency readiness team, or in the Philippines, using those particular agencies that could be involved into hacking and some illegal activities of these systems. No? Okay, using the firewall is another thing, no? Because that could be there is a network perimeter that different computers connected into a network to the router, and there is a firewall that could give certain uh, security for our data, and the web server, of course, connected on that. There is a certain firewall also, and that would have a certain internet function, and that could be on the part of the C-Engage Learning book. Okay, the popular firewall software personal are, sabi natin, Zone Alarm Pro, Presecure, Panda Global, Net Firewall, ESET, alam na natin yan, no? Vendor Checkpoint Software, Panda Security, the NT kernel resources, and many more. So those are the different examples of firewall software by personal computers. We have the safeguard against attack by malicious insider, departing employees and contractors, promptly delete computer accounts, login data and passwords, carefully define employee roles and separate key responsibilities, create roles and user accounts to limit authorities, and defending against cyber terrorism. And the department of the other company, we're in the Homeland Security and the National Cybersecurity are part of this. The builds and maintains our national security cyberspace response system, infrastructure, the cyber risk management program for protection and critical infrastructure, including banking and finance, water, government, and operations and emergency services. But hard to conduct periodic IT security audits, evaluate the policies, whether they are followed, review access and level of authority, test the system, review the test system safeguard information protection assessment kit, and available from the Computer Security Institute. Okay, in detection system catch intruders in the act, intrusion detection system monitors system network resources and activities, notifies the proper authorities within, identifies possible intrusion and outside organization, misuse from the organization, knowledge-based approach, behavioral-based approach. What could be the response? Response plan is another thing. You have to plan it. Now you have to do some strategies that you are that could be part of the plan. So develop well in advance of any incident approved by legal department or the senior management. So kinakailangan ma-involve yung dalawang yan. If ever na nagkakaroon ng mga different responses, different activity in the office or in the industry, you can have to call their attentions or to give some information regarding on this. Primary goals: regain control and limit damage, not to monitor the catch of intruder. Only 56% had response plan, and the incident notification defines who to notify, who not to notify. Security expenses, experts recommend against releasing specific information about security compromise in public forums. Documents all details of the security incident, all system events, specific actions taken, all external conversation, and act quickly to contain attack. Eradication effort, collect and lab possible criminal evidence, verify necessary, are current complete, create new backups, follow up is another thing, determine how security was compromised, prevent it from happening again. Review. So you have to review, determine exactly what happened, and evaluate the organization's respondent and wait carefully among the effort required to capture the perpetrator, and consider the potential for negative publicity and the legal precedent hold organizations accountable for their own IT security weaknesses. Now, let's go to the computer forensics. Narinig na natin yan. There are so many forensics positions locally and abroad. Majority are nasa abroad. Magaganda ang mga sahod ng mga computer forensic, data forensics, no? Combines elements of law and computer science to identify, collect, examine, and preserve data, and preserve its integrity so it's admissible as evidence. No? Yun yung forensic. Parang nag-investigate ka ng data. Computer forensics are investigation. It requires extensive training and certification and knowledge of laws that apply to gathering a criminal evidence. So based on the summary that we have, so ethical decisions, determining which information and data most needed protection, and most common computer exploit viruses, worm, Trojan, distributed of denial of service attacks, spam phishing, smear phishing, perpetrators. So lahat yung binanggit na natin from this particular chapter. And that could be the end of the chapter 3. You have to answer again the chapter 3 requirement para sa ganon, makahabol tayo, marami tayong nasayang ng mga oras, ng mga panahon. So that's why we are trying to finish our, because we don't have any midterm yet, no? Pag natapos tayo ng chapter 4, magmi-midterm na tayo. So until now, wala pa tayong midterm. Some of my classes has already have taken their midterm already. So basically, dapat naka-midterm na tayo sa mga ganitong panahon. But it's not yet late. Hahabulin natin at hahabulin talaga ito. We have one more meeting, I think, to go. No? Okay. Now, based on the chapter 3, what do you think? No? What is the different perpetrators that you heard, no, in this particular chapter? Do you have any stories or sharing of informations that you have? Para sa ganun, alam naman natin kung ano yung other stories na related into some elements, no, bad activities, bad operations in the and that could be classified as a certain fraud. Ano ba yung mga kwento natin na pwede nating malaman as part of your recitation? What could be the different sharing of informations that you have or sharing of stories that you have on this particular chapter? I call somebody. John Melvin Karunungan, can you give me a certain example, stories, experience, or any related uh, fraud that you've read, no? Nabasa mo, nakwento sa ng kaibigan mo, yung mga nangyari na ganitong pagkakaalam mo? What are those things? So we are trying to listen to your stories. Karunungan. Karunungan. Last call, karunungan. You are present but you are not responding.
Hello po, sir.
Ayan. Sige, go ahead. Try to share some information and stories that might be related into chapter 3 and chapter 2 topic, or some fraud that you heard, that you've read, that you stories by other people. Come on, kindly share your story. Go ahead. We are listening na right now.
Yan po sa mga online na parang yung parang networking po na mag-i-invite ka po ng
Oo. Sige. Mag-invite ng tao, for example. Sige.
Opo, sir, yung mag-i-invite po ng tao ay yung maghihingian ka po nila ng bayad para makasali ka po. Tapos yun po, yung may na-invite po ako, tapos bigla pong hindi na po nagparamdam yung nag-invite sa'yo.
Okay. So in other words, Mr. Karunungan, scam, no?
Opo, sir.
Through networking, kung tawagin nila. So sa networking, kinakailangan alamin mo kung yung produkto, no? And besides, sabi natin, yung down level ng networking na yon, pag medyo marami na, you don't go to that, you did not join dapat sa mga ganung particular networking, no? Kasi baka may scam ka nga dyan, kasi hindi lahat ay legit, no? So, pag-aralan mo muna bago kayong mag-join to a certain networking. You should know what could be the operation, what could be the profit, what could be your level of status, ano yung level ng status ng downline mo. So, kinakailangan makita mo lahat yun. At sino yung nasa upper downline mo, or sino sila, no? Anong mga category nila. So, you have to study those things, no? And that's another problem, no? Na nakikita natin through IT. Using the networking procedure, networking strategies in the business. They have certain, collecting some money para ma-involve ka, para mag-join ka dun sa ano na yun, and all of a sudden, wala palang produkto. Yun. Scam nga, no? Ang mangyayari doon. Okay. Any other story? Meron ba magbo-volunteer? Tatawag ulit ako. I'm going to grade. Wait lang. Karunungan. Dito talaga sa subject natin, no, we are trying to communicate, doing some recitation and reactions. Actually, every meeting may recitations tayo, and so happen na naghahabol tayo, so that's why we have to give way to our lecture. But we have time pa, no? So, Jericho, can you tell me what are the other stories that you have?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Jericho, go ahead.
Sir, sa akin po, yung na-experience ko lang po, yung isa po, online investment platform po, sir.
Oo.
Ang ano naman niya, sir, ang technique naman niya, magpapa-invest siya minimum of 300, sir.
Oo.
Tapos, ang gagawin mo doon sa ini-invest mo, itataya mo lang doon sa sa plan. Kasi may group sila sa sa Telegram. Sasali ka rin doon sa group nila. Pagkasali mo sa group, tataya mo doon sa plan. Kasi meron sila tinatayang laro, football. Tapos ang pangako na, sure win yun, sir, lagi. Yung plan na tinayan nila. Kaya, yung investment mo na 300, automatic lalaki siya ng 3% yata yung rate, sir.
Oo.
Yung ganun. So, masyadong malaki yan, sir. So, marami na yung ganyo.
Oo.
Isa na ako doon.
Oo.
Then, sa katagalan, sir, yung mga 2 months na yung ko, biglang kumabig yung grupo na yun. Biglang nag-shutdown. Wala na. Tapos, hindi ko na nabawi yung yung puhunan ko, sir.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, sige. So, it's a good, parang to inform everybody not to go to that particular, So, sometimes may mga nagjo-join tayo para lang magkaroon tayo ng, comfortability, para maalis yung stress natin. So, sometimes it's not bad. Pero, to have a money that you have to taya, no? Parang gano'n, magtataya ka or i-address mo isang money na ganito and it's a big money already for 300 pesos. It's not sabihin nating easy money, no? Pero malaki na yun eh. Ilang kilong bigas na mabibili natin doon actually. So, basically, hindi tayo talaga dapat nag-join sa mga ganun. But I understand, no, to sometimes we need to stress to release our stress, no, yung mga ganyan different problems, no, and sometimes we have a particular activity, but you have to be very careful on that kasi hindi lahat ay may legit objectives, no. Kung part siya ng panluloko, it's a fraud, no? Fraud na yon kasi nagtaya ka na tapos tinakbo yung kanyang money, for example, no? So basically, ilan kayong ganon, no? Makikita mo kung ano ang naging effect sa'yo, no? So basically, you are fan of gaming, I understand, marami sa inyong ganyan. So, pwede naman kayong mag-ano sa pagdating pag-graduate nyo, maiintindihan nyo ang game developer. No, yung mga game developer ay talagang they have, some knowledge that they have to improve especially in performing games, no? And some of the strategies are part of the games. So basically, doon tayo ng mga ganung considerations. Pero yung to involve some money, no, para dun sa mga ganung magbe-bet ka, no, magkakaroon ka ng mga pagtaya, and basically, that's not a good one, no? Kaya, nagkakaroon ng lumalakas ang loob ng mga taong gumagawa ng illegal activities on that. Kasi because of us, nagtataya kayo ng mga ganung malalaking pera, no? Okay. Sige. Thank you, Mr. Benitez. Jericho. Yeah, Jericho. Another story.
Ako po, sir.
Sige, go ahead. Mr. What is your name?
Malalang po.
Show your hand. Asan yung hand mo? Show your hand in the icon. Gumamit kayo ng icon sa more. Yung more, pindutin nyo yung raise hand. Nandito ba yun? Ay, wala. Some more. Sorry. Andito pala. Ayun, Manalang. Go ahead, Manalang. Gio.
Kasi po may may YouTube channel. So, madalas ko lang nakukuha ng mga emails para sa mga sponsorship. So, mayroong isang email na nakuha ko, mukhang legit naman, is nag-over siya ng napakalaking pera. Tapos, i-replyan ko, mukhang legit naman, binasa ko naman buong email niya. Mukhang legit yung pangalan, yung company. Tapos, nung kukunin ko na, malapit ko na makuha. Tapos, meron siyang pina-download, papa-install niya daw. Doon ako nagtaka. Tapos, nag-research ako kung paano malaman kung scam yung email or not, kung legit or not. Tapos, nalaman ko, mukhang ano nga, yun yung madalas ginagamit para maka-download ng phishing links, ng ano yan? Yung software, malware, ganun, malware. Para man yung computer ko hack. Kaya, munti ka na ako madali. Tapos, doon ako natuto paano ano talaga ng mga email. Magbosisi.
Kumikita ka naman sa YouTube channel mo.
Yes po, sir. There's ads.
Ganun. Magkano ang kitaan dyan? More or less.
Yung average po, 30,000 per month.
Aba, ang ganda. It's a good job, no? It's a good job. Pero you should be very careful on some advertise other no, kasi may mga different people na their objective is to get some information. Kaya that's why na-phishing ka, no?
Muntik na po.
Yung phishing, muntik na. So, pero once na I think you have a good knowledge on, you've read about the phishing, you have different knowledge in different involvement on that particular so that's why pwede kang magkaroon ng problem, no, mapag-aaralan lahat ng data mo, and that's why it's a very good thing na hindi natuloy, but it could be a phishing activity already, no, yung ganung okay, sige. So that's it, no, be very careful on the, since you are yan ang mga no, sa Facebook, dyan yung mga vlogger, no? Basically, may mga vlogger ba dito? Meron? Wala nagtaas. Sige. So, yun lang. Yung may Facebook ad, okay? So, maganda yun, no? At least, paano ka nababayaran ng Facebook? Saan mo kinuha yung money mo? Hello? Gio?
YouTube po?
Yeah.
Kailan po sa YouTube?
YouTube channel. Sorry.
Sir.
Ha?
Sinesend nila yung ad revenue diretso sa bangko.
Oh, I see. So, ganun pala, no? Kasi di ako...
Or transfer, sir. Yes po.
So, yung palang, at least a good idea naman na paano mag-earn ng money, no, in goodwill, no, in good thing. So, kailangan may strive tayo. Yung sinasabi natin, nag-strive tayo. Kaya lang, you have to be very careful at put some, what do you call this, i-filter mo rin yung mga different na mga nag-ano dun sa YouTube, no? So, nafi-filter mo ba yon?
Ano po, sir?
Nafi-filter mo ba yung may mga bad objectives? Hindi. Sa YouTube channel mo. Na-detect mo ba? Nadidetect mo ba na itong tao na to is not wala, hindi. Sa YouTube kasi.
Filter naman po, sir.
Filter ba yun?
Opo, especially yung mga virus links, marami po yan sa comments.
Okay.
Virus links.
Okay. Sige. So, sige, it's a good experience naman pagdating kay Mr. Manalang. Thank you, Mr. Manalang. Wala na. So, 10:30 na. Sige, so, marami pa tayong pag-uusapan about CPE laws and ethics and laws. So, basically, we have a certain, no? Okay. So, that's all for this, for our discussion this morning. So, do you have any question? 10:30 na kasi.
Wala naman po, sir.
Wala na.
Mukhang gutom na lahat.
Gutom na ako. Sorry, ha. Sige, so let's have the attendance checking. So, kindly on your camera for monitoring of your presence. So, if you have some issues on your camera, please notify. It means you are really present on our discussion. Notify lang. Mababaw lang ang kaligayahan natin. Ino-notify lang ako kung nandyan kayo. Kung wala kayo dyan, umalis kayo at umaten yung inyong gadget. Okay. Nag-note na si... Okay. Baniked, Almarines, Solomon, Carola, noted. Batrado, Valdez, Beato, Hernandez, Gallardo, Aguilo, Aguilo ba yun? Agulo, Limosinero, Villavicencio, yan. Sina-shout out ko na para alam nyo. May shout out na yan, ha? Villavicencio, ayan. Okay, so ganyan lang, no? You have to notify me. Salvador. Okay, wala na? Wala na. So, I will get the final downloading of the attendance. So, somebody will help me para dun sa pag-screenshot. Ako ay mag-download ng inyong attendance. So, we will do that. We will do that. O, Benitez, ikaw na maggawa. Present
Ay,
po.
sir, naka-phone lang po ako eh. Hindi ko kayo kita lahat, sir.
Sorry.
Sir, ako na po.
President. Oh, Vivian, sorry. Si Vivian nga pala ang president. I forgot. Vivian. Kayo kasi si Vivian. Okay.
Sir, naka-share screen pa rin yata kayo.
Ay, sorry. Oo nga. Okay. Yan. Okay. Go ahead, Vivian. I will do the downloading of the final attendance. So far, we are 46 on this session, including myself. So there are 45 students present on our session this morning. I will download the attendance na. Wala nang hahabol. Santiago, good morning po, sir. Pwede na po akong... Ay, hindi sa inyo yan.
Okay na po.
Okay. Sige. So, wala pa tayong midterm kasi hindi pa tayo tapos ng 4. Kung natapos natin ng chapter 4 and half of chapter 5 din natin. Basta 4, okay na. Pwede na tayo. Kasi normally hanggang sa 4 ako kumuha ng topic. Okay. So, after nating matapos ng 4, magpo-proceed tayo sa midterm exam. So, ganon ang way natin. So, basically, see you by next meeting for the chapter 4. Keep always healthy, no? And keep safe. God bless you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.
Sige.
Salamat po. Salamat po, sir.
Okay.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Sir.
Sige, bye-bye.